All right, some breaking news before you go. Omaha fire crews are cleaning up after an overnight house fire in a duplex. This happened just after 1:30 this morning near 30th and Reed. One of the units is now unlivable. Estimated damages is valued at $35,000. Fortunately, though, nobody was hurt.
More breaking news this morning. One person is recovering after a late night motorcycle crash. It happened just before midnight near 108th and Maple. One person was taken to the hospital. Their injuries are not considered life-threatening.
And some international breaking news. One woman is dead. 9 others are injured after a Ukrainian drone attack. It happened in the city of Kursk. The regional government says the attack damaged residential buildings and an ambulance garage. Russia's defense ministry reported that its air defense systems took 115 Ukrainian drones down over 5 Russian regions. AP News says most of these were over the Kursk region. The Russian Investigative Committee says the drones were stuffed with striking elements to cause maximum damage to civilians. Aaron.
More top stories now before you go. Omaha police providing a timeline on the weekend shooting at Florence Tower. They say this started with shots fired at the 6th floor. Officers ran into Billy Dorrell, who fired more shots before surrendering to police.
The man behind the hit and run that left a woman dead last June will be sentenced tomorrow. Investigators say Devon Barnes hit a woman as she was walking across the street. Barnes is facing up to 4 years in prison.
2 men have been convicted of first-degree murder in the death of 15-year-old Cynthia Elliott. They are Cash Davis and Latrell Washington. More than 30 bullets were fired from a driveway into Elliott's home.
Governor Jim Pillen announces a program aimed at improving veterinarian numbers across the state. The state will award up to 13 new graduates with $150,000 per veterinarian who accepts a job at a rural clinic.